Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today I am excited to bring you episode 4 of Hell's Paradise because this is a donation reward. We can do this week. This counts. It may be donation reward appreciation week, but that doesn't mean everything we're going to be reacting to is necessarily going to be new. We still have 2 donation reward slots that we can include in this week's reactions. And I say I'm excited to bring you this because I have just lost my mind with hype over this series. Like, I don't know what the fuck Mappa is smoking over there in Japan, but they are pumping out some of the best modern anime, in my opinion, of course. It's all subjective and everything. But in my personal opinion, some of the best modern anime. We have the likes of Jujutsu Kaisen, we have Chainsaw Man, and of course we have Hell's Paradise. And it's like, and it's not really a surprise, because we look back here through Mappa's catalog, and they've done a lot of series that I have really liked. So a little backstory to me before we get to that, though. I had watched anime for pretty much all my life. Going back, obviously, to stuff like Sailor Moon, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Digimon, all the early stuff that a lot of us in my generation, the millennial generation, got into as kids, before even really knowing it was anime. But it was 2014 when I really got into anime. Before then, I was just kind of into a few different shows here and there, a few different things, but I was never like this big anime fan before that point. 2014, I decided I'm gonna start like trying to watch more of the current stuff instead of just, the typical small stuff that everybody watches. Because at that time, I already watched stuff like, obviously, again, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, Digimon, One Piece, Shaman King, stuff that was on like American television, like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff growing up, Toonami. That's the kind of stuff that I watched. Adult Swim, even, with stuff like Detective Conan, or Case Closed, as it was renamed here in America for some reason. Though the dub is actually really good for it. But 2014, I really started to check out a lot more stuff. And some of those just happened to be with Mappa. Now, Mappa started releasing shows a couple years before in 2012. But the first ones that I discovered from it were during this time in 2014. Stuff like Terror in Resonance, which got some mixed reviews from people, but I actually enjoyed. It's not the best series or anything, but I enjoyed it. And another one called Rage of Bahamut Genesis that I think is very underrated. It was a very fun series. Unfortunately, the sequel to it was not that good. The sequel series to it, but Rage of Bahamut Genesis was really good. And then as the years continued on, they started releasing some other stuff. But it wasn't until 2016 where they released something else that really caught my attention. And that was Yuri on Ice. Like, Yuri on Ice blew me away. Not only because of the representation that was, like, just a huge deal. Because it wasn't just, like, for typical fan service or anything. It was done in a very respectful and believable manner that other series just at the time hadn't always gotten to. There were some shows, obviously, by that time, obviously 2016, that had done that, but it wasn't as common. Yuri on Ice really brought in a new level to that. Plus, it's just really freaking good. And then it continued on with 2017's release of Kakegurui. And Kakegurui ended up becoming a huge surprise hit for me because it's like, based on the concept of it and everything, and obviously the hypersexualization aspect, I never thought I would have liked that. And then I watched it and it's like, this is fucking hilarious. And some people are like, wait, that's not what you're supposed to get out of this. It's like, no, that's very much the point. This is a satire. It is a satire on the hypersexualization of anime. That's clear, well, and manga, but that's clearly what it's going for here, and it's hilarious, but it's also gripping. It's entertaining. The characters are enticing. They're exciting. It's like you're getting lost in gambling. You're getting addicted to this series. They make it in that way with the visuals, with the effects, the sounds, even. It's like, yeah, that's the point. And that year they also released Inuyashiki, which was a huge surprise hit for me. I believe I reacted to that, and it surprised the shit out of me and became one of my favorites at the time. It was wild how good that was. Um, and they've released other stuff after that in the couple years coming. Stuff that I either never really checked out much, like Banana Fish, but though is really popular. And then Zombieland Saga, which I just couldn't get into because it's not my type of genre and everything. But then 2019 came, and not only did we get the sequel to Kakegurui, Kakegurui XX, but we also got fucking Dororo, which I didn't see until like 2021, I want to say. I think it was when I reacted to that. But you guys know, if you saw my reactions, how much I love Dororo. Also, specifically the opening to Dororo, the first opening. The second one's not that good. The first opening, though, is magical. Like, one of the best anime openings, without question. Um, and it just continued from there. 2020 gave us Doro Hidoro, which was a hugely underrated anime because Netflix kind of ruined that here in America. And various other ones that I haven't checked out, like God of High School and Listeners, but those are ones that I've heard good things about from other people. Obviously, in 2020, they started Jujutsu Kaisen, as well as started to take over for Attack on Titan from Studio Wit. 2021, they brought in more Zombieland Saga with Revenge. 2022 gave us obviously more Attack on Titan, but also the big hit Chainsaw Man, which swept the world. Like, absolutely. And of course, now 2023 has given us a number of things. More Attack on Titan. Campfire Cooking, which is really popular from what I've heard. Season 2 of Vinland Saga, another one that Mappa took over from Wit. It's like, does Wit just throw their leftovers to Mappa nowadays? But also, we got Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which just recently started up, and Hell's Paradise. And we've already got Season 2 of Hell's Paradise confirmed. Like, this is already confirmed, so I'm extremely hyped for that. We don't know when it's coming yet. None of that's been released. We have a new original work coming out next year called Buchigiri. And on top of that, the new Shinichiro Watanabe series, Lazarus, is going to be by Studio Mappa. Like, you know Shinichiro Watanabe, the creator of Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Space Dandy, Carol and Tuesday. That Shinichiro Watanabe. Massive fucking name in anime. His new series is Mappa. Mappa is owning right now, in my opinion. And they've done movies as well. It's not just the shows and stuff. They've done movies like Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, Zombieland Saga the movie, which is going to be coming at some point. Also, Yuri on Ice the movie, Ice Adolescence, which we're still fucking waiting for. And they've done OVAs, they've done ONAs, such as Kakegurui Twin. It's like, yeah, they are the big guns in the anime industry, in my opinion. And I've been a fan of them for pretty much as long as I've been a regular consumer of anime, rather than just a casual consumer. And I don't think that's changing anytime soon, considering the stuff that's going to be coming out that we know of in the future. Um, so this all ties into Hell's Paradise because this series, when I first checked it out, it's like, oh, I know nothing about this. It's a donation reward from Sweet Venom. I don't know what I'm getting into here. Let's give it a chance. First episode starts off not the most interesting, not bad, but just a little boring, a little taking a little bit to get things going. But then it's like the later half of the episode dials it up, makes us really care about Gabimaru, makes Sagiri vastly more interesting, and gives us just a plot that is fascinating with this paradise that they have to travel to, the promise of a shogunate pardon. It's like this is it just went from 0 to 100 in no time flat. And episode 2 introduced us to some of these other characters that we're going to be following. Gave us some cool action stuff, some really intense and interesting murders, as well as just kind of explained more of the rules of how this mission is going down. And then episode 3, we get to the island, we get to Paradise. And it seems nice at first, though we see Gabimaru and Sagiri have a fight, because Gabimaru is like just kind of convincing himself, it's like, she's dangerous, I need to kill her, but soon coming to realize, I can't do this, it's not right, it's not going to help me get that pardon and get back to my wife and have a normal life with her. And then all shit goes down. And it's like, oh fuck. We knew this place was dangerous. We had no idea how dangerous. We have demon bugs that cause the entire flower growths on these people that we've been seeing and hearing about. We have these giant demon creatures with fingers coming out of their eyes and shit. Demon centipedes with fingers coming out of every orifice. Because why the fuck not? Why fingers? Why? Is it just because it's creepy looking? Because it's fucking creepy looking. But it's like this just, it gets more and more hype. And I've been watching some other reactions to it, and that's getting me more and more hype. I've been rewatching the opening again and again and again and again, and listening to the music video, or listening to the full song, watching the music video from the original artist, and becoming weirdly obsessed because I do that, because I hyperfixate, because I'm autistic, and this is one of my current hyperfixations. Without question. It's almost kind of funny acknowledging and admitting to something being a hyperfixation of yours, because it's like when you have these hyperfixations and are engaging in them, you don't really think about it. But when you acknowledge and admit to it, it's like, oh yeah, I am really obsessed with this. It just kind of like opens it up in a new way to you. Which has happened to me quite a bit at points. But yeah, this is definitely one of them for me. In fact, at the moment, it's actually, I would say, higher up than Jujutsu Kaisen, which is surprising. But the current arc of JJK that we're in hasn't hooked me in as much yet. I'm still invested in it. I'm still very much fixated on it, but just not as much as I am currently with Hell's Paradise. But yeah, so I'm very excited with how last episode ended off. The one prisoner guy slicing off his hand after he got stung and realizing that that was going to turn him. A bunch of the characters dying, including the cannibal courtesan, who, let's talk about that real quick. I believe it was you, Venom, who mentioned in the comments you don't think that it was a literal cannibal thing. You were thinking like it was just like a kind of a nickname to reference how dangerous and violent she was and all. Sort of like how the term Black Widow has been used for dangerous and murderous women and all. No. I very much believe 100% that she was an actual cannibal. When she had tackled her monitor to the ground and was on top of him, and like the way she licked her lips was not like just a sexual lip or anything like that. Lip lick, yeah. It wasn't just like a sexual thing. It was very clearly like, oh, I'm going to eat this person kind of lip lick. Like actual cannibal. And honestly, with the kind of series this is, I I can't see it as anything else. It just makes sense. They're not going to use the word cannibal like out of that context for a series like this. It's with the kind of show this is, with like literal demons and shit. It's like, no, she was a literal cannibal, which still disappoints me that we didn't get to see more of her before she just kind of was off screened and no longer part of this. Because she was kind of the one I was most interested in, other than obviously Gabimaru. But we also saw that Sagari's mentor was killed by the big dude, the bear guy, which was a huge surprise. And yeah, shit's just kind of going down. So, how are we going to get out of this? How are we going to survive? Is this just like a swarm at the moment, and if we get rid of them, we'll be okay for a little bit? Excuse me. I'm very invested in finding out. But I have talked on long enough in these pre-thoughts, especially ranting about or not even ranting, just talking about Studio Mappa and stuff that's not actually the series, but just kind of giving some backstory with my history with Mappa. And why I love them as a studio so much, especially lately. But yeah, it's like we should probably get on with this. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so we get to see a lot more of the demons and stuff. This time we get to see people fighting the demons and dealing with all of this that's going on. We focus on a couple things. First, we see that our Kunoichi girl comes into play and suggests an alliance with Gabimaru. While normally people have one Asaimon monitor, she has two, because the second one, Genji, decided to monitor her as well after his assigned criminal was killed by her. Though we find out after that it seems like it was really the bugs and everything that killed him and made the flowers sprout from him and all. We see that she is going under a lot of typical Kunoichi ideals with like the flirtation and whatnot, and yeah, not going to work on Gabimaru. He's too dedicated to his wife. He loves her. Like, flirting just won't work with him. But she still poses the idea of an alliance, and while she doesn't have any grand motive or anything for wanting to survive, that is still her main goal. She just wants to live, just to live. And we also focus on these two brothers. We find out that the blonde-haired criminal and his Asaimon monitor are actually brothers, and that his younger brother infiltrated the Asaimon in order to free him. And that's how he found out about the entire thing with the pardon and used it to help his brother get out of prison and get out of literally being tortured. So they're working together a lot closer than any of the other criminal Asaimon duos, just because of the fact that they are, they are brothers and they very much care for each other, and that's made very clear. Like, the part where it looks like Blondie's about to abandon his brother and everything, it's like I'm thinking in my head, it's like, no, he's got to be doing something. There's got to be a reason for this, and there was. He was going to grab a weapon. He's just going to grab a weapon to help his brother out and everything. Yeah, it all worked out. It's like he wasn't going to abandon him, luckily. If he had abandoned him, then I would have been a little upset, admittedly. But yeah, we also get to see that these demons can speak, and they seem to be judging these criminals for their murders and whatnot. Specifically, it seems interesting. We also find out some information from the Kunoichi about like that the about which bugs to watch out for and everything. Specifically, the butterflies are the issue. Centipedes only attack dead flesh, and so on and so forth with that. So we get a lot of interesting information in this one. We get to see a little bit of the backstory as well for the dragon, and see how he's kind of like petty and vengeful over people who he deems insults him. But he's not focused on as much here as the opening scene would make you think. But yeah, I mean, this was another really good episode that expanded on things and helped us learn a little bit more about what's going on here. Not completely, obviously, but we also learned for sure that only one criminal will be pardoned. There's only a single pardon, so only one, even if multiple come back, only one can actually receive it. So I believe I was questioning that last episode, and now we got our answer to that for sure. Because I was thinking like maybe if multiple came back, they would all get pardoned, but that's clearly not the case. So okay. I'm very interested to see where all of this continues to go, how this temporary alliance between Gabimaru and the Kunoichi girl goes. Everything's just becoming really fascinating, honestly. This series has really hooked me in. I'm into the lore, into the characters, into the story. It's just a big yes across the board. Studio Mappa really knocking this one out of the park, in my opinion. And I'm glad that there is already a confirmed season 2 coming. But that also implies that either the story's not going to be finished in this season, or there's going to be more after Gabimaru gets back to his wife and all. I'm thinking the former. I think it's just not going to be finished in this season. Because the season, I think, is only 12 episodes. Maybe 13. But it's like, yeah, so I guess we'll see. In the meantime, though, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Hell's Paradise? Let me know. And thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.